What's going on there, YouTube? This is SCL0320. I cannot believe the movie I just saw. It was kind of nuts and surreal experience because for the first time ever looking at the actual movie and then actually talking and interacting with the actual actors after which time. And the movie I'm talking about is Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, starring Thomas Mann as one of the main lead actors. It was a really interesting experience, not just to watch it cinematically, but to assess their perspective of embodying these characters that they so eloquently done in such a subtle, strange, heartfelt, deep comedy that I don't think I ever really forget. So I'm gonna be going and doing a spoiler review for it really soon. Me and Joe are about to get back into the house, but this is all part of the spoiler section, and you're going to be able to get first line footage of the interaction with everything, so hopefully y'all enjoyed that first part of this. But we're going to go work on a non-spoiler review now. Later, everybody. What's going on there, YouTube?
Hey everyone.
This is SCL0320.
Boy Joe Johnson 030.
So we are back for a spoiler review, y'all.
Yes, we are.
And we actually got something special lined up for y'all. So at the end of this spoiler review, if you stick around for it, we're gonna have exclusive footage of the advanced screening movie that we got to see thanks to, like I said again before with Mad Max, the movie bar. I really appreciate y'all for giving us these advanced tickets because we did not expect to go to a question and answer with the main director and both the main leads of this movie, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. And it was really well done. But like I said, at the end of this, check out the footage that we've got for it, and check out like us actually meeting the actors, interacting with the really down-to-earth people. They actually signed this ticket for us as well, all of them, which is really cool. And let's go ahead and jump in, you know what I'm saying? So coming into this movie for me, I was looking for this to be kind of just a straight up just tearjerker, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, I'm prepared to cry, you know, and normally when I prepare myself to cry, I won't cry. And this movie shook me up because I was laughing the entire time. There was never a point that I wasn't laughing, but then there were moments where I felt as though I was about to drip and weep, you know, and I think that plays along with how they did the screenplay with the director, and more than anything, the performances of every character. Every character was of significance, like Joe said in the non-spoiler review. I couldn't believe the fact that when they started talking about the relationship between Earl and Greg, who's played by Thomas Mann and CJ Cyler, how in sync they are. Like he had described in a monologue like, well, I don't know why we like eating my dad's food. It's so weird. And I don't know why we like looking at these weird foreign films that make no sense. Maybe it's because we're weird and we try to make stuff work. Or if it's just we don't care about life and we just accept it for what it is. And that is the conception of their relationship. Their friendship is like, Greg is like this introvert that downplays himself. He doesn't even go and eat in the cafeteria. They go and eat it in the library with their teacher, who's their history teacher, who plays a guy that plays Shane on Walking Dead, and they just kind of go and look at weird stuff, you know what I'm saying? But then you got you got Earl, who says whatever is on his mind. He'll keep it playing with him. Like Earl is hilarious. There was one point he was like talking about basically Greg going and meeting up with Rachel finally, and he was like, so you grab anything? He's like, what? You know, and he was being authentically serious, but it's just, they come from different worlds, but they meet on a common ground. And it's the same thing, honest, with him and Rachel. But what was one of the things that you want to talk about, spoiler-wise? So let's just go in. There's no dissection with this.
I like how they introduced Greg and Rachel. Like, I like how they really did that. That was very clever how they did it. Cause like the first scene starts off with like Greg telling you about like pretty much his high school experience and how he goes through the day. He's like he sees himself as an individual who doesn't really fit into these cliques, and you know, but he's pretty he's familiar with everyone, you know, he greets everyone, but he's not personal with anybody except for your boy Earl. And so he's going through the day, and different clips of interacting with different cliques. And one point he's like walking through, and you don't see exactly who he's interacting with, but he says, another test, been there. And he just keeps it moving, and you don't think nothing of it watching that scene. And then the following next scene, like his mother and both his parents pretty much meet him in his room and pretty much tell him the news that you know, Rachel, you know, she has been diagnosed with leukemia. And then it's like, okay, it's like, oh crap, like that person that he was talking to, all you seen was a silhouette, like when he was going through high school, but when he said that, but it immediately flashed back to the point where he said, Tess, been there, and he just walked right past it. And he was like, crap. And like pretty much after that, like his mother like forces him to initially she forces him to spend time with her. I think that was like really clever, well done how they introduced that. Yeah, kind of. and you can tell one thing they do like well in it was Thomas as an actor who plays the character Greg. One thing he does well is capture the awkwardness between their whole interaction of being forced to hang out with her. And she pretty much calls him on it, but that was probably like one of my favorite points.
Yeah, like there's so many different awkward moments with him though, because before they even were gonna talk to him about like Rachel, he was out there looking at porn. And then like he was trying to click off of it, and he got some spam. It just flooded the computer. I was like, and I mean, just how Thomas Mann embodies Greg. Like Greg says some off the wall stuff that can either be taken literally or just like, man, that dude's a jerk. He's a douche, you know. And you can tell that he doesn't mean it, you know. He's just in on himself, just ready to kind of just be out, you know. And even his perspectives on stuff, one thing that I love is that Rachel challenges him on everything. Like even when he goes and finally gets to her, she was like, what are you doing? I don't want you, you know. And I was thinking, I was like, how is this dude gonna prove to himself, prove to this girl that he wants to be here? This dude was like, yeah, I don't really have a choice. I have to be here because my mom told me to be here, and I'm just only here because of her. Like, I'm not here to be sympathetic or you, I don't really care about it. I was like, dang, he doesn't care. But what's so funny is that when he's a jerk, or when he sounds like a jerk, or when he sounds like he's being mean, she laughs at it. Like, she loves it. Like, there was one point that he was talking about how to avoid people, how to avoid an awkward situation. And he was like, look, like, say something funny, you know, and I'm going to react to it. And she said something funny, he just starts shaking. And then he just goes and he's like, he like goes and like does it again. And the second time he's like, just act like you did. And he kind of looks dead like this. And he looks at this poster and it's some Hugh Jackman, right? It's Wolverine. And then Hugh Jackman starts speaking like, what is wrong with you? I've been in this room, gosh knows how long, and I'll be darned if you talking down to this girl while she's dying. I was like, it was so funny. And I mean, even when, like I said, they kind of have times where they go to the library and they kind of meet with the teacher at the history. Like he had said, the teacher had said something like, man, I got this soup, you know, I can drink it. And the teacher was like, well, I'll give you your address. And they were like, man, I don't want that crap. I think it was Earl. I was like, man, get the hell up out of here, or something like that. And
I ain't going.
Yeah, and so they decide they're gonna go and eat the soup anyway. So they start eating the soup. They get back to their room, bruh. They were high as a kite. I swear, like Greg was looking around. He was like, a panda bear, a pink elephant. Like he was tripping. And I thought that those moments were captured so well because like it lasted the whole day. They had to leave the house. And they finally told Rachel. Rachel's like, what? You know, and it was so funny that everything that they do, it is like a cause and effect, because when they did that ticked off the emo guy. And then when they interacted with that brought up something that was beef with the guy that perpetuated being a rapper. So there's no character in this movie that's underused. And I think one of the most amazing moments was when Rachel told Greg finally, because they had been spending a lot of time with each other, and like you can tell like there was a real authenticity to their friendship, because she understands him but she compliments him, and he knows how to make her laugh, and that's exactly what she needs. And she kind of tells him, she's like, look, I'm done. He's like, what do you mean? You done with your treatments? Like, no, I'm not doing any more treatments. And he understood the meaning of that. And that was the first time I really saw Greg vulnerable. You know, like he'd been able to pacify everything with like quirks and like funny moments, but he broke down. Like he was like, so you're gonna quit on me? You know, basically, in so many different levels. And he's like, you're gonna quit on your mom? Like, how dare you do this? Like, and she said to him, she's like, how dare you? You can't yell at me. I'm dying. I'm the one suffering this. You're not. And I mean, both were real, you know, and both of the performances, how they shot it, it was like, wow. And like you feel this weight of like, man, this girl's about to die. And the movie tricks you. The movie's like, look, Greg is narrating the moment when I think it's actually happened, and he's basically like, there's nothing gonna happen to this girl. Like, I know you're feeling like all these emotions for this girl. Nothing's gonna happen to her, you know. She's gonna make it out alive. And I'm like, he said that, but everything, how his personality is, I was like, man, maybe he's just saying this so he can feel it on the inside, that it's gonna be okay, and trying to do it subtly. And she doesn't make it. She doesn't make it. When she decided to take herself off chemo, there is no more coming back from that. She eventually goes back to the hospital, and they have a really bad falling out, because he's upset about what happened. And up to the point she gets to the hospital, like he's just slowly, his grades are declining. He's not even going to school anymore. He just is down. And I mean, he had not even prepared himself to go to college. His mom gave him this book or whatever. But she decides to tell him, like, look, you need to apply. And he applied and got in, but then his grades declined, you know? And I thought it was so touching the end, because he was gonna go to prom with this other girl that he's been liking. I thought it was so funny. Like, every time she kind of touches him or interacts with him, he equated it to a moose stepping on a chipmunk. And like, it was just so funny how it comes up most of the time. But like, he averted it at one point, and he was like, yeah, what is this touching? What you touching me for? You know, she wanted to really ask him out to prom. And it's crazy because, I mean, he's been trying to make this movie for her. The whole point was, the girl asked him to make a movie for her that reminiscent of her, make her feel good about herself. He was working on it with Earl for the longest time, and he just couldn't make it. And when he started unraveling after she heard that news, he even had a falling out with Earl. And Earl was basically like, man, you gotta get over yourself, you know? And they had a fight. They had a fight. And so it all went down to basically the prom. And I was like, you know what? He's not gonna go to the prom. He's gonna go to the hospital. Sure enough, he went to the hospital to go see her, to literally show her the film that he made for her. And he was like, it's taken us, what was it, about 160 days to really try to make it right. But we couldn't make it after it's 5 months. And I really wanted to do it right, but this is what we got, you know. He kind of showed it to her, and it's such a beautiful scene. But she dies. Like, I mean, he said, like, he showed somebody a film, they literally died from it. And I was like, all his comedy is coming from a serious place, but then when it actually did happen, it wasn't that. It messed me up, you know, because I did expect it, but then I didn't. And how they did it was having her literally watching it, you know, and she was crying and pouring out all this stuff from it. It was such a touching scene. But that's not the end of the movie. You figure, like, after that, and that's going to be it. But then they draw you in more. And I thought you wanted to talk about that specific piece of after she dies, from being in a coma after a while and then dying officially. Like, what happens after at the very end? Because I think you had brought it up in the non-spoiler review. After the funeral.
So at that point, It was actually at the same time of the funeral, or not? Yeah. Well,
it's during.
It's like during the funeral. So Greg, he's like, so everyone's at their house, at Rachel's house, and you know, everyone's dressed in black, and you know, in mourning, and some people like talking, whatever. But what happens is Greg, he actually goes out back and goes up the fire escape, and he actually goes back into her room, and he's just like, you know, taken aback and just taking everything in as far as like the setting of her room, and just, you know, just really having a moment of just like, you know, missing her. And he's actually like paying attention to different details in her room. He starts looking at what was it? It was her wallpaper. Yeah, he starts looking at her wallpaper, and
no, the book. The book the book, yeah, that was the first thing. He went, and the book that he had for college, I don't know, I think her mom gave it to him. Yeah. And he went to the room, he opened it up, and it had like them when they were eating ice cream together. She had carved it out, because I guess the funny thing was that when her dad died, when her dad left, she cut all his books up, and so she's been cutting books all her life. And you had pointed out that when the character that was on Walking Dead that played the main teacher, the history teacher, he was talking about his relationship with his dad and how it dissipated. And when he passed, like, he found out stuff about him he never would have imagined. So it was almost like they were still living through the moments of learning stuff about them. And he learned so much in that scene. But yeah, it was the book. It was the book that set it off. Mm-hmm. After the book, it was all the different other books in there. And then he noticed that she'd been carving out stuff everywhere. There was literally scissors lining up. And it's funny because he'd been in the room so much, like, you wouldn't expect him not to see that. But it's like, I guess a person only shows you so much, you know. And like, when you're completely one with them after they pass, or even if you're completely one with them in marriage or whatever, you know there's more to them, you know. And it's totally identifiable, and it's totally beautiful, because like, he gets imparted on by her afterwards, because she wrote a letter to the university to try to keep him. She was like, look, like, the only reason why he lost all this is because he spent time with me. He gave me life in being with me. And I mean, I couldn't ask for a better ending. Even though it was a sad ending, it was the best kind of ending for a story like this, especially the characters developed in it. So I mean, I give the movie definitely a 9.5 out of 10, like, all in all. I really enjoyed it. But what are your closing thoughts on it, Joe?
I'll definitely give this movie a 10. You know, definitely this movie dealing with like loss of a loved one or just someone close to you. Like, if anyone's like been through something like that, man, I think this movie definitely does it justice. Or kind of like, I feel like you can definitely relate to this movie on some way or another, and it definitely teaches you a lot. Definitely makes you appreciate, you know what I'm saying, life.
True.
Yeah.
True. So this was our spoiler review for this amazing movie. Like I said, this movie is not gonna be for everyone. Some people just looking at the title, they're not gonna look at it. But I promise you, they will get recognition for this movie. This does something that most dramatic comedies can't do, is seriously make you laugh, seriously teach you something, but at the same time have every character embody something that you can take in. And I think Joe had said it best, is that there are no characters that can be taken out for this not to work. If they're taken out, like, it just doesn't pan out the same exact way. And that goes on the writing, directing, and like I said, all the actors involved with this. This was an amazing movie, and as you're gonna see later on, like, different question answers and the rest of this, they enjoyed their craft. They enjoyed the moment of each character, and they embodied them. They were the first that were typecast. I think Olivia and Thomas, they were the first that were actually picked for those specific roles. And the director, like, he does a great job of explaining different scenes. So hopefully y'all enjoyed that extra footage at the end. And our meet and greet with them, they were really cool people. Like, they actually took pictures with them. Like, Joe
really,
looking like
really
Diesel.
humble, really down to earth people, man. And Olivia, she was really funny. I mean, Thomas, he was really chill, really laid back, but also
he's freaking tall.
Yeah, he's pretty tall too. But I mean, both of them together, you and the director, man, just like, you could tell they're really like kind of just like normal people, but they just have this passion about, you know what I'm saying, their craft and what they do. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, they threw me because after I'd actually asked a specific question. You're gonna be able to see that question in later on. And after I went up to him, like behind the guy, I thought he was talking to the guy, and he was like, "Are you an actor?" Because the question it was originated to Greg, the character Greg, played by Thomas, and it was a really personal question of how to deal with getting into character. And he was like, "Are you an actor?" And I was like, kinda, do short films, you know." But he kind of like met me halfway and let us really talk about the things that we've been doing on the review scene, mentioning y'all. And even like the short films we've been making, like this movie really does inspire you to create. And I think he had said that one of the reviews that came out was like the conceptualization of creation, of film or whatever, like brings you a feeling of life. You know, I think when you equate yourself with life or connection with other people, you want to create, you know, like that's the preservation of it. So that just came up in conversation. And then when we met up with Thomas and Olivia, they were just so goofy, dude. Like, they were hilarious, and I was surprised by it. I was taken that by. I was geeking. I was geeking in the car. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. So hopefully y'all enjoyed our review for this, and if you want to go back and check out a non-spoiler review, we've got that up as well. But enjoy the rest of the footage, and we're outie. We about to go get some sleep because I think it's like 12 o'clock at night. This is SCL0320 signing out. Amazing movie. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. Later, y'all.
Like, I really appreciate the performance, and director, you've done such an amazing job. The question that I had was really for Thomas though. From the conceptualization of a normal comedy, kind of like having dramatic moments in it sometimes, how did you prepare yourself for this role? Because the whole undertaking of the script in and of itself, I couldn't imagine like having a character that's so different, but at the same time so honest and noble, but he doesn't see that in himself. How did you prepare yourself personally for that? Or did you pull that out of your own personality? I was just curious.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you read a character and you have a reaction to it, and you see you know, parts of yourself in it, even, you know, the less admirable parts of yourself. And I like that he was this sort of like really intelligent, very self-aware teenager, but you know, he's a guy who has all the answers, he has everything mapped out, but is too stubborn and selfish to really make use of them. And
yeah.
And I just know, like, it reminded me of, like, you know, not only myself, but like my sister, who's slightly closer to Greg's age, and just modern teenagers who have kind of created a bubble for themselves and are very comfortable not making real connections. And it was something I wanted to kind of take on, and so I don't know, it's a weird thing to kind of explain my process, because it was something I was figuring out as I was going. I had never been part of a film that had required me to be so emotionally available, and I wasn't even sure, even after I was cast, that I was going to be able to deliver on the day, you know, and that was really daunting for me. But it was the kind of thing where the further we went along, I felt so close to everyone involved, and you know, me and Olivia had become really good friends, me and RJ had become really good friends, and me and Alfonso had become really good friends, and it was something like we all trusted each other, and when you feel like you can't fail, then you just allow yourself to open up, and I just, you know, I just empathize. I've reached this new point of empathy in my life that I never really understood before, and it was not about recalling some sort of past trauma in my own life, you know, to try and make myself cry in a scene or something. It was really just about knowing and loving these characters, and just kind of trusting that, and that for me was enough. And yeah, it was a really profound experience for me creatively, and I feel like I grew up a lot, but it's not something I can really pick apart. I don't know.
It shows. You did a great job.
Thank you.
There was a real lived-in quality about guys, I mean, that are younger than your other castmates. I mean, the naturalism and the truth, the honesty of everybody's performances was really spectacular. Really. Yes.
Everything works really nice in the film.
Naturalism and the truth, the honesty of everybody's performances was really spectacular. Really. Yes.
Everything works really nice in the film, especially like the production design.
Yeah.
So
Jerry Sullivan.
We reminded me of a mashup of John Hughes and Wes Anderson. If you could talk about how you came up with that concept.
We did assign one color was the kind of the connective thread throughout the whole movie, which was yellow, which was the color symbolized Olivia, Rachel, which was it's a cycle, a rebirth, sun, and that informed every other decision from the rubber bands on Greg's wrist when he's typing at the beginning at the end. There's a little bit of Rachel everywhere, in the green of her bedroom, in the color of Earl's house as a kid, or even in the adult way. It's like this bright yellow, it's a memory, and she's just everywhere, and that informed everything. And then in choosing the locations, I just wanted to make sure every house had a silhouette and a personality, and one house that was kind of perfect, and it was certainly closer to the version in the script, and it was cave-like, and you went downstairs to her bedroom, but I could have shot that in Burbank, you know, and then when we found this house on Murray Hill Avenue, again, had its own, her house, her red house, her little townhouses, had a beautiful silhouette, and you could divide the spaces into the mom's world and then her world, and that then creates its own story. You don't even have to go there. But you see her pottery barn, stark white, no family photographs, and her nest up there. And then Jesse's house became Greg's house. I loved Jesse's house, but we'd scout, his parents would make us dinner. And then I kept chasing houses just like his, and I liked the wallpaper, I liked the doorways, I liked the two staircases, and then we eventually asked them if they could use it. We shot it for free.
Everyone else was so real and raw in the movie, and you know, it would have been if I had cancer or had anyone close to me who had cancer and watching the movie and seeing just a big bulky bald cap, it would just completely just take me out of the movie, and I wouldn't feel for this character. Yeah, so no.
This film opens in DC on June 12th or 19th? June 12th? These guys just came from Philly. They're here shortly, and then they're going back to New York. They're on a whirlwind. It's been quite a year for this. I know the film got an award here at Film Fest in April. It's got some accolades from the Sundance and some other places. It's really, it's snowballing, and it's kind of the talked about, buzzed about thing right now, which is amazing. The point of these screenings, while wonderful to meet these folks, is for you to get on email and social media and tell everybody you saw this, tell them they must see it when it comes out. Thank these guys for coming and talking with us. Thank you.
Like, you played off of the screenplay really well, but at the same time, I'm treating you the book now because I want to kind of compare in between. I was wondering two things. One, if you could sign my little sheet for me, and I was going to get a picture with you. Okay. You have a pen? Yeah, let me see if I can get one. Looking at this, it really made me want to go shoot something.
Yeah, it makes you want to go create.
Do you mind if y'all say
What's your name?
Sam.
Sam.